Hello, welcome to Zing Astrology. I'm your astrologer, Heidi. So let's get started on this week, February 16th of 2020. So I've written some notes this time because there's a lot to talk about and a lot that's been coming in as far as themes for this week ahead. We've hit Mercury retrograde today in Pisces, and it will be there for at least 3 weeks and then go into the shadow period after. So there's a lot of fear-mongering around Mercury retrograde, but I've actually come to look forward to them. Other than the minor hassles of computer failures and phone failures and travel snags, it's a great time for review, revising, redoing, and giving ourselves a chance to look back over the last 3 months or so and what we've accomplished internally and externally, and give ourselves the opportunity to look at those things and see if they're working right for us in our life, and if they're not, purging them or changing them, revising them. So we're hitting that Mercury retrograde in Pisces, which Pisces is dreamy and emotional and sensitive. It's not as deeply moody as, say, a Cancer sign or moving through a Cancer transit, but instead it's a little lighter, and it's a creative time where creativity is at a high, and that helps during the Mercury retrograde as far as creative solutions for you in your own life. So, but the other big energy is Mars moving into Capricorn. It's really interesting that both are hitting at the same time, because Mars is the planet of action and Mars wants to move forward. So in the sign of Capricorn, again, we're looking at building and structure and accomplishing things, right? So when we have Mercury going backwards in Pisces, which is dreamy and fluid and more emotional and watery, we have Mars in an earth sign wanting to get things done, built, and to progress. So we can work with both of these energies. They are polar opposites in a way. However, I think if we give ourselves the opportunity to move forward, but review along the way of what we're accomplishing. So Mars is the kind of last guy to hit the Capricorn scene. We've had Saturn there, Jupiter, Pluto, the Sun, and now we're moving into seeing Mars there. And Mars it's not its home sign to be in Capricorn, but it still is a sign that's going to work well for us as far as moving forward on our plans. Here's the big thing. We've been through a lot in 2019, and with that Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn in January, we've been really digging into our psyches, our wounds, thanks to Chiron, and we've had to do a lot of spiritual deep work on ourselves. And I feel like we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. We're starting to see that all that stuff we went through and worked on, and even the emotional crises we had to hit, we're starting to see how they alchemized within us. They shifted some patterns that we've held on to for a long time, emotional patterns, emotional wounds, karmic wounds, things that sit heavy on the soul, thanks to a lot of Capricorn heavy energy. But now with Mars there, it's kind of that final push. It's pushing us to the next stage. We're getting ready for spring. We're getting ready for longer days. We're getting ready for that time to put more into action. But this is around our identity as well. So a lot of this shifts and the work that we did on ourselves on those last few months, especially January was such a heavy month and such an emotional month. And now it's shifting into, where did that pain take us? What did that pain do to take you to the next level of your development? I know even in conversations in my own life, we've been talking about leveling up. Leveling up sounds fun, sounds like a positive thing, but the end result is, but the process is not. The process is not fun. And we've been in that process of getting ready to level up to the next level of maturity. Capricorn wants us to be mature. Saturn and Pluto there, a double whammy, looking at our responsibilities. I've heard a lot about being diligent or dedicated, thinking about our legacy, our long-term plans, not just living for the moment, but thinking about, okay, is this going to take me to where I want to be in the next 5 to 10 years? And so these shifts are starting to happen now that we've done this emotional work on, okay, I don't like feeling this way. I don't like this energy that I've brought into my life. I don't like how these patterns bring in these same relationship cycles. I don't like where I work. I don't feel fulfilled. And we were stuck in the pain of it for so long. And it's not that it's completely gone, but it's alchemizing. It's changing, and it's giving us some little sight into possibility and potential, and looking around the corner and maybe seeing that there is better ahead. So here, with the sun moving into Pisces this week and Mercury retrograding in Pisces, here we have to start relying on faith. I think a lot of the emotional trauma we hit over this last year and this last month in January, we wanted to overthink our problems and maybe go into the mind a little too much to try to problem solve and think through very emotional decisions. And now with this shift into Pisces, Pisces encourages us to have faith. Pisces encourages us to feel into our hearts, our compassion, our gratitude, even gratitude for where we are, even if it's muddy and not clear. But gratitude for the process of what we've gone through, and starting to trust more in, it could be spirituality. It could be just in trusting in ourselves again. Trusting that we do have the knowledge to go to our heart center and to our soul. And when we're making decisions, instead of doing the pros and cons lists in our minds, starting to access our true innate wisdom that we all have. With faith starting to rule the day a little more, and learning to trust in ourselves a little better, and coming out of the clouds of the emotional pain that we were under before, we're getting this push from Mars and Capricorn to put things into action. It's kind of like a last push of letting go of the bad habits, and almost like a detox for the soul. So coming up, we're also going to have the new moon in Pisces, which will give us that even another double dose of faith. Faith in our intuition, faith in spirit, and faith in our divine knowing. And so as we depend more on that and have faith that we can go with the flow a little bit, we can ride the waves, we can ride those emotional waves and come out on the other side, that feelings are fleeting, feelings will move through, and that we will be successful on the other end of them. But Pisces encourages us to express those feelings, not repress. So writing the feelings, expressing them best we know how, whether it's through therapy, through movement, through talking with friends, through journaling, but letting yourself feel it, letting yourself move grief through and rage through and disappointment and even confusion and lack of clarity, and just saying that's okay. Like, I'm feeling it, it's okay, and moving it through. So Pisces is giving us that with the new moon in Pisces, and then we're also getting a trine at that same time with Uranus, and the sun will be trining Uranus. And so that is that other extra push of inventive thinking, creative thinking, new energy to put new ideas into work and into reality. There's always that warning about not doing a lot of new things under a Mercury retrograde. I think we still can. I still would encourage, if there's any contracts that need to be signed and things like that, that you give that extra review and make sure it's really, really, really what you want before you sign on the dotted line. And that could be relationships, jobs, buying a new house, a new car. If those things were already put into strong process before the Mercury retrograde, there's not much caution around that. But starting anything brand new and wanting to sign a contract quickly, I would wait until at least the end of March to move through with that and follow through. But there's a lot of room for action. This is not a time to say, well, it's Mercury retrograde, I'm not gonna do that or do this and feel paralyzed. We have to watch for this doomsday thinking around Mercury retrograde. It's actually a blessing, and it's giving us even more Pisces energy to go with the flow and to feel our emotions and then move forward and really think about what you want for the next few stages of your life, and look at what new plans you can put full on into place after the retrograde. So, I drew a card for this reading, and it was harmony. And I've been thinking about equilibrium, balance, harmony. I've been thinking about those words lately in relation to what we're hitting. Because like I've said, coming out of all the heavy Capricorn energy, the emotional pain, the trauma we worked through, the patterns we saw ourselves in, and what we've done to come out the other side, or at least see the light at the end of the tunnel. So what we're trying to find now is a balance. A balance after healing from emotional trauma and working through some deep issues, and now feeling a little bit of hope, letting faith come in. Trying to find the balance between logic and emotion. Aren't we always trying to do that? And oftentimes there's transit like these with the earth and water balance that help us to look at both sides of ourselves and the polarity. Yes, we should always use our brains and use our wisdom and our knowledge and our logic, but we're getting a push to try to balance that out with how we feel, following our heart. Will our heart lead us wrong? I say yes. And I don't know if I'd even call it wrong, but I think sometimes we make mistakes when we follow our heart, because sometimes our feelings are very fluid, and we'll make a decision on during a heightened emotional state and think that we're following our heart, and sometimes it is. But you know what? I think if we really feel into our feelings, our intuition, our heart space, what really brings us that love, warm, juicy feeling in our heart, and we make a decision balanced with some logic, things may be a mistake and things may not be, but that's how we learn. And I think if we start turning off our heart and our feelings because we think they might lead us somewhere we don't want to go, then we're living in fear. Then we're living in lack of risk. We're not taking risks. We're not moving forward. And maybe we'll fall, and maybe we'll make mistakes and some wrong choices, and that's okay. It's okay. And as we do that, we learn. That's how we compile, right, this kind of data bank in our heads and in our hearts of what's best for us. Like, oh, well, that didn't work out. Even though I thought I was following the right part of my heart, that's okay. That's still us learning and growing. And I think in this time, we're reviewing about what does make us feel good and what does feed our souls and our hearts and helps us feel emotionally strong. Strength is another theme that was coming up for me with all the Capricorn as well. And this Mars pushing, there may even be more of a draw to get back in the gym, lift weights, build a stronger temple, and also a stronger emotional core, right? A stronger sense of mental fortitude and emotional fortitude, that working through all this stuff that we had to work through has made us stronger in the long run. We have more faith in ourselves. We made it through. We didn't die. We didn't crumble into a ball. We went on and we made our way through it. And so here with Mars and Capricorn and this faith coming in with Pisces, we're realizing, wait, I can have faith in myself to make the decisions that are best for me. And what Uranus is pushing us to do as it comes in later this week is, okay, I've found my center. I've found the harmony in my own heart between my feelings and my logical brain. I know what my life path, I'm starting to see what I want it to look like and what this shift has done for me. And I've alchemized so much, and I kind of know that what this new chapter is going to look like, and I want to move forward. And we might be a little scared or nervous about that. But Uranus is also giving this really great push to rely on our own strength and to move forward. And sometimes our identity, we're afraid to show it because we're afraid of the judgment of others. Any kind of identity, even just changing what we do for a career, but it could be who we are in relationship. There could be some big changes you want to make on how you interact with the world, yourself, your home life. Who you are in general could be shifting, and there could be some fear around releasing that into the world, and whose opinions are important to you and how that might make you feel if they judge you. But here we're getting the strength and kind of this supercharged energy later this week to be like, I have been so unhappy in the last year and a half trying to live according to what other people want or what I think I should do. There were a lot of shoulds, and there still will be with some Capricorn, but I'm tired of living under should, and I want to live authentically me. So if we're fearful about moving forward on our life path, we have the Sun and Uranus trine that I mentioned coming up this week. So Sun is the identity, our identity, and Uranus is innovative and energetic and pushes us quickly into change sometimes when we least expect it. So having the faith in yourself with the Sun also represents, like I said, our ego and our identity, and having the faith in our Sun and our solar plexus, our power, and in our heart. The Sun governs the heart. So having that faith that even though it feels a little scary to move forward into the next chapter, to be willing to take the risk. Again, willing to trust yourself. Willing and ready to understand that you can find your own sense of harmony within. I think that's a really important point to make right now too, is that there's a lot of external change we want to happen. All the pieces are not in place. And for those external shifts to happen, we have to shift internally. And when I talk about shift, it just means leaving an old pattern behind that was self-sabotaging, or leaving a pattern behind that has served its purpose. You are self-aware now, seeing where things that are choices you make and things that you used to do in relation to problems or insecurities or vulnerabilities maybe weren't the best, and you see it now. And so you're shifting away from old patterns, shifting into new. And sometimes that feeling of it's kind of ungrounding because we're so used to our own ritualistic behavior around trauma. And so being willing for there to be space there for a little bit and going with the flow and your intuition and your feeling and letting that happen and letting that shift happen into the new way of being. And it will feel a little insecure in the in-between. There's always a void of the letting go and the ending and into the new. But we have a lot of power behind us, and you have gained the knowledge within to be ready to take your first step into the new and to trust that along the way you're going to make the right decisions. And if the changes are big ones that you want to make, even if it's starting to go to the gym, or it's being alone for the first time in years, or shifting into a new way of life for yourself, there's something that was really meaningful to me the last couple of weeks while I've been trying to write a book and trying to do different things in my life that require a new way of living my daily routine. And it's really hard for me to switch and to do things totally different. But I went to a writer's workshop that was really helpful, and the author was talking about the 0.01% change, or 0.1, doesn't matter. What it means is tiny incremental. So if you're taking tiny incremental movements towards change in your life, even if it's like you don't exercise at all and you do 5 minutes a day, 10 sit-ups, whatever that incremental. For my writing, if I said I had to write 500 words a day, I probably wouldn't. But if I can say 100, I'll probably do that. And so instead of overwhelming yourself with these huge life goals and these huge big changes, some people can handle that and they're fine. But people like me need small wins, right? And so if you think of it as 0.1% improvement or change, a pattern in yourself every day, how much that adds up rather than just staying the same or getting worse. So putting in place those incremental changes in yourself towards what you want to accomplish. If you, like me, want to write, then we have to write a little bit every day, even if it's just a tiny bit. And if we want to get in shape, we have to do it frequently and consistently, a little bit every day, but set tiny goals. Tiny. And then when you win, it's like fuel, right? It fuels you to the next goal and the next goal. And that can happen with very vulnerable, emotional, spiritual goals around relationship, or around really shifting what you want to do with your life career-wise. Just if there's another career you're interested in, well, do a little research every day and see what that looks like. Talk to someone who does that job. You don't have to quit your job tomorrow and do that. It doesn't have to be this huge shift, but start steering the ship in a different direction and make incremental changes every day. So I hope you all have a great week. We have Mercury retrograde. We have new moon in Pisces. We have Mars shifting to Capricorn. We have Uranus trining the sun. We have some really interesting energy that hopefully will get us a little more excited about alchemizing, shifting, remaking ourselves, reviewing what we've been through in the past few weeks, and incorporating and integrating that into our new daily life and our new daily routine, and making incremental changes to become the new you want to be. So have a great week. Hey, I wanted to remind you to visit my website, zingastrology.com, and I'll make sure to email you with weekly updates on the transits where I go a little more in depth and sometimes give different insight, as well as coupons and discounts for readings and classes. And I'll also update you on classes and offerings coming up in the future. So get on zingastrology.com and sign up. Thanks.